Hello YouTube, today we are coaching a gold 4 Azir in the mid lane versus Silas. He gets really fed in lane but loses the game because he doesn't know how to push his lead into the mid game. Does that sound like you? Do you struggle with learning how to play the mid game? In today's coaching lesson, we go over how to play the mid game and how to carry 1v9 as a late game DPS champion such as Azir. If you are new here, my name is LittleBoyOfHope. I was able to reach Diamond 4 in the preseason of 10, have been coaching League part-time for a couple of years, and I create beginner-friendly League of Legends content here on YouTube. Subscribe right now and turn on the notifications if you're looking for more beginner League of Legends content to help you get to your next level. So example 1 here is we want to push our lead and extend our lead, get gold, and get ahead. Right? At this point, we know Cho'Gath is behind in CS and behind in levels. We also know our bot line is behind in levels as well and behind in CS and items. So we want to look to get our lead and push our lead as much as possible. So we already see 2 top, 2 mid, 2 bot, and our mid laner is top side, and red buff is up, so it's just spawning. So Udyr is gonna be there, right? We always assume the jungle is gonna be there, and then we just always play safe if he appears in our lane. We try to push our lane to try to get the lead and extend our lead. So right here, we can get possibly about 3 turret platings to maybe even 4, but instead of doing that, we just roam topside. So we could have gotten like 480 to maybe 600 gold. The thing is, we roam topside, but we already know that the topside is already messed up, right? So we roam topside, but we already pan our camera. We already see that this is already secure. This kill right here is already secured, right? So Set dies, and the only thing you have left topside is Silas, right? And Silas is useless at this point. Silas already is 0-4, maybe 0-5, 0-6 or something like that, and you're already 4 kills in. So this Silas is ending at this point. He's not worth any gold. So by you going topside to pick up Silas at this point is worthless. Whereas you just get this turret, you could get 480 to 600 gold, depending on how many platings you get. We possibly could have gotten this kill if we made the better insect play here, but we don't. So that's fine. But let's move on to example number 2. Example number 2, Silas just comes into us, incest, we kill him, we win, right? Great. So we want to talk about map awareness when pushing, trading, and killing, right? We see exactly where the Udyr is, and so we know Udyr went into the blue buff, right? But the bot laner is missing at this point, and it's Israel, so if Israel just snipes you, there's a very high chance that you just die. I don't know if you were looking at the map or not at this point. Maybe you might have been, maybe you might not have been. But very dangerous for you to be in this situation just because you don't have like your ultimate anymore. You don't have flash, you have WEQ, but that's all you have versus Udyr's movement speed. So now he can actually catch up to you again. Example number 2 is having more map awareness when you're pushing and trading, because what you did there was potentially very dangerous. If the Udyr was a little bit better, Udyr would have came back and probably tried to make a play. Now let's go into example number 3. Back for gold, let your team hold. You don't want to share the EXP anyways, but you try your best to peel. It's just not enough. She gets picked off. That's fine, right? Huge lag spike from the recording, so we don't see what's going on. But right here, when these minions are coming back, you have 1, 2, 3 allies here. You just back and let them take these minions, right? If you want to take these minions and then back, that's totally fine as well. But this is like the perfect time to back because now you have people to hold the base, right? And because you don't back here, you don't really have a good time to go back to buy items. You have 1100 gold worth of items, and then you just don't get to use it effectively. Example number 4 is fight with whoever has a lead on your team, not people who don't have leads and are behind. There's 3 points I want to make with example 4. Fight with whoever has a lead on your team, also press tab before fights, and then kite to live, not to kill, right? So these 3 main points are what we want to focus on. So like the biggest thing about this fight right now is because your top laner is so far behind by CS, and obviously at this point, as a coach, I don't know that. And as a player, I don't know that. And you won't know that because you don't press tab, right? You haven't checked. So Cho'Gath is 45 CS behind. He's very toxic, so you muted him, which is a good job to you for muting him. But at the same time, your Tristana is 2 levels behind Israel, and Leona is 3 levels behind Israel. Right? And so the biggest thing with this team fight is if Azir dies, then the whole team dies, right? Because Tristana doesn't do damage, Leona doesn't do damage, and Cho'Gath doesn't do damage, right? And the positioning here is totally off too, because there's 2 coming here, there's 1 here, and there's 1 here. So what are we doing standing here looking for a fight, right? Tristana looks for the pick. Set gets the pull off, but look what's going on here, right? This guy gets away because Tristana does absolutely 0 damage. We get the CC off here, but look at what Israel's doing. Israel's focusing the carry because Azir is 6-1. Israel knows that. He probably pressed tab before the fight. Israel knows Tristana is useless, so he goes for the Azir. Set also ults and then just W's and kills Azir, and then like there's 1-2 people on you at this point. Number 1 is fight with whoever has a lead on your team. The only person that's almost as strong as you at this point is Diana. She has 2 items, almost 3 items. You have 2 items, almost 3 items as well. So fight with whoever has a lead on your team, not people who don't have leads, right? So Cho'Gath is 45 CS. Now this is the point when I see that Cho'Gath is 45 CS behind. Like 45 CS only to 120 CS. Also very behind in gold. Cho'Gath has no items at this point, and Set has a couple items in already. Same thing for bot lane, like 3 levels behind, 2 levels behind, and also just the item difference, right? Maybe Isra hasn't cashed out, right? Maybe he hasn't cashed out, but Tristana is still useless because she just doesn't do any damage, right? You saw Zyra was half HP, Tristana did the full combo on her, excluding the W and the ult, but still doesn't work because she's so far behind, right? So if they kill Azir in that team fight, then you just automatically lose. Whereas if you fought with Diana, you waited to fight with Diana, you could one-shot that Zyra, that Israel, that Sylas, and then just turn the game into an instant 5v4, and you guys can just instantly win that team fight from there on out. Point number 3 is kite to live, not to kill, right? You were definitely looking to kill there and make a pick, and that's why you died, right? Whereas if you were playing more safe and you knew that you're sandwiched from this side and this side, you just back up and back ping that it's dangerous because you guys have a number disadvantage, then you guys just don't fight that, right? It comes back to basic mid-game League of Legends fundamentals, which is don't fight at a numbers disadvantage, don't fight when you don't have ultimate, don't fight when you're low on HP, don't fight when one of your teammates don't have mana, and don't fight when you're behind on items. Don't fight for if you guys don't have an objective to fight for. But obviously we don't fight that, right? Because it's just too hard at this point. Because you don't have Diana there. Diana's the only other person on your team that's useful, and you're fighting with a full team of useless people, and they're like perfectly grouped. So it was a 5 versus 4 essentially. And you knew that because Diana was dead. You also knew that because you saw all 5 of them on the map at the same time. 3 main points, for example 4, I guess you could say 4 main points, is fight with whoever has the lead. Number 2 is press tab before fights, so you know who's dangerous and who's not, and you know who to prioritize in fights. And then number 3 is kite to live, not to kill. Point number 4 is just basic fundamentals, right? Don't fight at numbers disadvantage, right? You guys were at 4 versus 5, and you guys fought that, right? So always remember when the mid game comes, if you really want to get better at it, just always think how many of us are there and how many of us are there over there, right, on the other side, right? And so that's the biggest thing, is don't fight at numbers disadvantage. Let's move on to example number 5. Mid game fundamentals, don't fight when you're low HP, don't fight when your team's low HP, don't fight low mana. There's basically the same thing that happened in example number 4. But a little bit more obvious this time. Yeah, always want to be aware of team fights, team fight ultimates, just like the Zyra ultimate is huge, Misfortune ultimate is huge, Leona ultimate is huge, Diana ultimate is huge. Like, these are the abilities that you want to watch out for when you're playing these high DPS champions or these carries like Master Yi, Azir, Tristana, Vayne, just anybody with a lot of DPS that if you get locked down, gets killed immediately. Right? Or just in general, anybody who wants to look for these big ultimates like Wukong ultimate, Malphite Yasuo, Wombo combo, the Rumble ultimate, right? All these big ultimates, we always look out for these in team fights, and I think you just forget here. You see that Diana go in, and you just go in for the in play. And also look here, you guys also take a lot of damage, and this Cho'Gath is actually doing the correct move. The only thing Cho'Gath is not doing is pinging you guys back. Right? So everyone's already low here, and we're looking for this engage. And Leona's almost dead, Tristana just gets one tapped and dies, you get one tapped and died, right? Like this is just not safe in general. Cho'Gath misses the knockup, hits one person, Diana gets to creep up on these guys, but then we see the Zyra over here, so like right here, you and Diana might be tunneled on this right here, but then this is what you need to focus on, right? Like, what if this was like a Misfortune, right? Or what if this was like, it doesn't matter, like Zyra is dangerous, just equally as dangerous, right? So we go in, we look for the damage here, which is great. Now Zyra just walks up, and boom, it's over. And then Wombo combo that was set. Right, so that just goes back to basic League of Legends mid-game fighting fundamental. Don't fight when low HP, don't fight without mana, don't fight when you don't have ultimate. Basic things that we all know, but we just don't apply. So we need to take these fundamentals and apply them into these games. So 2 huge things to understand in example 5 is mid-game fundamentals. Don't fight when low on resources, don't fight when you get poked down. And then also the big thing is be aware of big ultimates like Zyra ultimate, Malphite Yasuo Wombo combo, Wukong ultimate, right? Same thing as number 4 is kite to live, not to kill, right? Notice how you went in for the kill on the 4 guys, on the 4 people that got caught by Diana, and you didn't kite to live, but instead you tried to kill instead of kiting to live, and that's why you guys lost that fight. Now let's go over some of the examples. Like, let's go back to example 4, and I want to show you what happens when you fight with the people who are actually useful on your team. Okay, so this is a really good example of what happens when you fight with the secondary carry, where you press tab and you know who to fight with and you fight correctly, right? So this is a good example of fighting with the right teammates. And of course I know Israel's not there, and maybe that's why you guys wanted to, but even more so than just Israel not being there, we fought with Diana, who was actually useful. We're lagging a lot, but look at this. The result of this fight is amazing. And we don't even use our ultimate too, right? Right here we should be looking for the engage on Zyra. Perfect, we get the flash, everything, we're good, we just back out. Right, but see what happened there? You guys won that fight perfectly, right? And then Diana goes in and instant dies, right? But that's a good example of what happens when you fight with the right teammates. Now let's go back to example number 5, and let's look at some positive examples of fighting at a numbers advantage. Okay, so right here is like, it's part of example number 5 is what happens when you fight at a numbers advantage, like basic League of Legends fundamental. Right, so 2 things going right here, right off the bat. We're fighting with Diana, who's if you press tab, we see that she's the strongest next to us, and then we also fight with the numbers advantage, right? There's 5 of us here, and there's only 2-3 of them. Right, so that's the biggest thing. It was a 5 versus 2. Now Israel comes in. Now it's a 5 versus 2 again. We kill them, and now it's a 4 versus 1. Right, so that's huge in itself. Is these basic fundamentals that it's obvious now, but in game, these are the things that you have to realize, and you have to be constantly thinking about. To take, like, how many do we have more numbers than them? You might already know this, but like you might already know this, but like as you saw, we've already fought like a couple fights at a numbers disadvantage and at low resources, right? So you might already know this information, but you just have to implement it into the game. Let's go to the next example, which is good target prioritization. Here we have a good target prioritization. Silas is dead because he was out of position. We get a good catch. Right, and then I like how you focus the Israel here because Israel's a carry. As soon as we kill Israel, we go over and kill Udyr because Udyr is also really fed too. Huge shutdown gold. As soon as the TP comes, you get stuck by Zyra ultimate, and we get out, which is good. Alright, the biggest issue here is base is going down and you're trying to kite a set off TP who has Q, who also has E, who also might have flash, and it still has his W, and he also has his ultimate, right? He has his whole kit up ready just to dive both of you, right? You know Tristana has ultimate, right? You know Tristana has heal. You probably might not know that, but Tristana has heal anyways. When we try to take this fight, why? Because we think we can out-kite him. We don't have ultimate, we don't have E, we don't have flash, right? And we're relying on Tristana, who's 0-7, to press R at the right time. Boom, right here. Tristana presses R right here, and he's unstoppable, right? There's nothing we can do. So Tristana misses the R. Tristana also doesn't heal, and boom, look at that W on Set, right? I don't know if you knew Set's abilities, Set's kit or not, but if you want to carry these like 1v9 games where you're fed and your team isn't, you have to know every single champion's abilities, and you have to know that they can do things like dive U, like Kindred Ultimate, Set W, just things like these. You just have to understand and to not mess with them, because like if you just back off instead of kiting him, like, or you just go back off and just Q to slow and keep running back, just clear this wave and then just let them take this turret, you'd have been like totally fine, right? But now you die anyways, and then Tristana dies with, and then they just take 2 turrets anyways. Right, so they take 2 turrets anyways, you die anyways, even though you try to maybe fight to defend the turret. right? So it's just not worth it overall. It's just the same thing goes back to example 4, is fight with whoever has a lead, not with people who don't have leads and are behind, right? So you try to fight with Tristana, and then you die because of that. You try to defend her, and you die because of that. And it's just the basic thing is just not understanding Set's kit as a whole, right? Set as a champion is someone who's really good at diving because of his W, because of his ultimate and how tanky he is in general. Alright, let's go on to example 7, which is kite to live, not to kill. Israel E's in, you see the opportunity to kill Israel, right? So up to this point in the game, you've died 4 times. All 4 times, you died because you went for a kill. I want you to understand that. Right here, we're going in for a kill again. And boom, we die again the 5th time because we're not kiting to live, we're trying for a kill, right? Most players in low elo, they do really well early game, but they fall off because they don't understand their champion identity, right? Azir is a hyper carry, he does a lot of DPS. He can carry very hard with Azir, but we died because we looked for a kill. We'll look at some positive examples of kiting to live and not to kill. Alright, perfect example right here of kiting to live and not to kill, and this is what you need to understand every time in every team fight if you're playing Azir. Notice how you position very safe, right? Position away from the Sylas, position away from the Zyra, and also position away from this guy. Very laggy, but let's go through this anyways. Use your ult to peel for yourself, stay away from the W range on the set. Right? Right, so the biggest thing here is if Azir dies, the team loses. But if Azir lives, then you guys win every single fight, right? That's why I say kite to live, not to kill, because as long as you're alive, you guys are going to win. See that? As long as you're alive, you guys are gonna win. Right? So example 1 of kiting to live and not to kill. Now you just have to rinse and repeat and do that over and over again. And this is what you have to do when you're the one that is carrying 1v9, is you just kite to live, not to kill. Because you do that, their death timers will be so long, you'll be able to take objectives like Baron, be able to take 3 turrets at once, this sort of stuff. Not right now because you have super minions, but eventually. Let's move on to the next. So this is the next team fight right now of what you did really well, kite to live and not to kill, and what you need to do every game if you want to carry. Right, so you get caught by the set QE here, Q flash E here, which isn't good. But you were able to dodge a Sylas pull, which is good. Udyr also focusing the Tristana over you, which is also good. You get the peel off here and you kill everyone. Just notice how strong you are in general, right? As long as you are alive, your team is not afraid, right? But at the moment you die, it's over. So it's crucial that you stay alive. And it's crucial that you know everyone's abilities. In here, you try to kite to live, not to die again, but it's just not enough. Diana gets cut out. You guys don't even get to use Diana's kit at all. And then you just get cut out by Zyra ulti and Set ulti. Oh, Zyra ulti and Set W. You died to Zyra ulti and Set W. Oh my gosh. In general, if you want to carry and you're really fed in the early game, you have to know every single champion's abilities and how to play around them, alright? And you have to kite to live, not to kill. And then to not throw these leads early, you have to also understand that you want to fight with whoever has a lead on your team, not people who don't have leads and are behind. Alright, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys check out my how to actually carry video on Azir versus Sylas coaching. And that one's actually really good. It goes over exactly how to take advantage of your power spikes in the laning phase, 2 ways to abuse your enemies in the lane, how to dodge enemy skill shots, and how to properly use teleport, along with how to impact the map instead of queen flipping games over and over. And also it goes over tips on how to never die and tips on how to not get caught out alone. So that one's really good. If you want to check that one out, it's the how to actually carry Azir versus Sylas video. Check that one out right here. And I'll see you guys next time.